The Bengals created a clear signal, guys. Let's just start and talk about it right there. By them benching Logan Wilson prematurely, right? By saying, hey, we're going to usher in the youth movement, that is them signaling to other teams Logan Wilson is available. Make no mistake about it. 𝗪𝗡𝗪𝗓 is not one to put out reports. That is just for, to put out statements just to generate clicks and interest. That's not what he's done. He's hearing that from someone. To put it at 60%, this is the Bengals waving the flag saying, hey, if you want Logan Wilson, you can come and get him, but it's going to cost you something. So I think the opportunity for Logan Wilson to be traded is extremely high. It's just a matter of if a team is going to oblige by giving the Bengals what they're looking for. That is where I land on it. If you're willing to give us Kenneth Walker for Logan Wilson, we can talk. We can have a conversation. I'm okay with having that conversation because I don't know what the hell is going on with Kenneth Walker, and that sucks because I'm like, listen, Kenneth is the guy that I had a lot of respect for. He's a guy that I think still has more in the league, but for some reason they like Zach Charbonnet over him. But Daniel, what are your thoughts on the Bengals potentially trading Logan Wilson?
Yeah, it depends on what you can get, right? If I can get when it comes to draft capital, I don't know what a team would be willing to give up. For me, the line for sure as of right now, like if you can give me a 4th round pick, I might just give them to you. Like I think a 4th round pick is probably where I'm at. What's likely is maybe a 5th round pick. And if a team right now says, and if I'm the GM says, hey, a 5th round pick for Logan Wilson, what do you say? I'm saying no. I'm saying no right now because I feel like my team still has a chance to contend this season. And for me, a 5th round pick doesn't do it for me. If I believe that even though Logan Wilson is not the starter right now, I personally still feel like he can contribute to this team. And am I better right now with him on my team or getting a 5th round pick? That doesn't do anything for me, respectfully. When I look at potential options, if you can sell me on a player that can contribute to my team this season, okay, maybe we're talking. And that's just where I stand with this whole Logan Wilson talk, especially just right now. If you go out and lose to the Jets, maybe I change my tune on it because I understand Logan Wilson's probably not long for this team. You got Barrett Carter, you got Demetrius Knight. You brought those guys in for a reason. You're starting those guys over Logan Wilson. I get it. But I'm talking about a Super Bowl. And it may sound crazy, but I'm talking about contending. And what does a 5th round pick do for me? It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't. That's why I gave up. And if I'm talking about the Bengals, that's why I gave up a 5th for Joe Flacco. And I'm going to get that back and call it a day, not while I'm in the midst of trying to compete for a championship right now. Because if we're talking about our team competing for a championship, you're going to have injuries. And we're talking week 16, week 17, week 18. I'm going to need Logan Wilson. I am. So in order to trade Logan Wilson, you got to sell me on a player. If you're the 49ers or you're a team that needs a linebacker, you got to give me a player that I feel like can contribute. Hell, maybe it's even a cornerback 3, right? Maybe saying, hey, if you can give me an upgrade over Josh Newton, over Cam Taylor-Britt right now, maybe I take that. And a 6th round pick, okay, maybe we're having a conversation. But
the Bengals having an opportunity to be more competitive this season decreases the chance they make a trade. I think anybody who follows the Bengals closely, yeah, the Joe Flacco thing was like, hey, to even field a competitive team, you have to get a decent quarterback out there. Are they going to trade for Jeffrey Simmons? Are they going to trade for, I don't know, like a young safety who's about to be cut this year, and then they try and just give him some run? Like, maybe, but they haven't given Tyson Anderson run.
They
like,
traded up.
I was going to say DJ Ivey and Josh Newton are, not out on the field all the time, getting a bunch of run for all the talk we got about them being, ready to break out. It's not necessarily been going well in that front. So like, I don't see them making that move. I think they would rather stand pat. I think they like Logan Wilson for his veteran leadership and attitude and mentorship. And I just don't think they view that as like a 5th round pick or better. I think if their season was more out of reach, yeah, they'd be willing to say goodbye to him. But I think as they get a little bit closer to being more and more competitive, that they just want to stand pat with what they have and just try and push forward. And
yeah, I think that the avenue for the Logan Wilson trade that makes the most sense to me. While I do agree with Malik, I'm almost, trade him. He's not playing. We're not going to be here. Like, give what you can. But I think the avenue that I think the Bengals could see more likely, it's finding a team, again, I'm going to say the 49ers because obviously the Fred Warner injury, but it might not necessarily match up. But it's just the example I'm going with. A team like the 49ers need a linebacker bad. And they're backup defensive tackle is a whole hell of a lot better at rushing the passer than ours.
Mhm.
You know, like a swap like that makes sense. Or you can go get me a better guard upgrade. You can go get me a, you know, whatever, a safety, a corner, whatever. Like I think a player for player swap in this regard makes a ton of sense. And I think that is the avenue that the Bengals would be exploring here. Again, as much as I love draft picks too, and I would want more draft picks, it is difficult to see the Bengals just straight up sell Logan Wilson, considering we just got done talking about how we could be winning the division. But I do think there is a high, I don't want to say high possibility, the possibility of him being traded for a different player that makes us better this year seems the most likely avenue for me.
You also have to find a team that is trying to be competitive at this point and thinks Logan Wilson gives him an upgrade. Because, like, let's say the Raiders, they're trying to move Jakobi Meyers or Max Crosby, right? They're not going to be on a fire sale like, oh, shit, we got to win the division in the next couple of weeks. Like, we need to just get the guy in the building. They're going to sit there on their hands until they get a good offer. They're going to try and get the most they can out of that because any team in that position is going to be trying to get their highest offer to set them up next year.
Mhm.
They're not going to be like, hey, we just want a fourth or a fifth to get a veteran in the building to be competitive. Like, that's not – they're in the tank mode now, right? So, like, as much as, like, I think – again, we've already made a trade for offense. You could definitely use it on defense. As much as I think a Jakobi Meyers would give you everything you need from a third receiver to complement T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and would just unlock another element of this offense, I don't think the Raiders would be like, hey, yeah, just give me Jakobi Meyers and we'll take Logan Wilson for you. And you give us like a 4th round pick and that's going to make it all work. Like, so then you have to talk about a team like the 49ers. Okay. Like, what are the 49ers going to give you that you're like, hey, that immediately makes our team better?
Yeah.
Like, they're already hurting on the defensive line where they can't generate a pass rush. Their secondary is already struggling. Their linebackers are already hurt. So you're not getting anything on defense. So, like, that's kind of like the premium, like, Logan Wilson destination, right? But again, I go, what makes sense for the Bengals? It's not Kendrick Bourne, you know, like, it's not whatever wide receiver is in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse that year. It's not Brian Robinson, because you already got, I saw someone said Michael Carter, like, I like the player, but you've already got the same logjam at running back that you had at tight end. They love Samaje.
They meant the corner.
They love Chase Brown, and Taj Brooks is still back there, who they just drafted, and it's solid.
Yeah.
So, like, again, as much as I love the idea of a Jakobi Meyers, I love the idea of a fun, talented running back that we don't have to watch Samaje Perine touch the ball all the time, but they love him and they trust him, and they're going to keep doing that. So, like, I struggle to find the place where I can go, man, that just makes a lot of sense for both teams.
I think something I just thought about when you're talking about that is, you know, we talked about the why we think Logan Wilson could be on the out and cutting him. He still does have another year left. So if you do send him to one of these teams that are not great, they could be looking at it like, okay, he can be our veteran in our presence next year. You know, that doesn't mean we're gonna get a better return, but it just opens up the possibility of maybe sending him to a Dolphins or something.
But that's the thing, are the Titans like looking to move Jeffrey Simmons right now? No, right?
It opens up the possibilities a little more to maybe, you know, just find a trade partner for him. I think there's a lot of avenues to find one, and just, is it going to be what the Bengals want is obviously will always be the question.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to find some other teams. Like, I think the 49ers, there's Colts with Lou Anarumo, like, and they're a team that needs some help on the linebacking core.
Jermaine Pratt, Lord and Savior.
They did sign Jermaine Pratt. Like, there's teams. I mean, I don't know if this team needs a linebacker, but like the Buffalo Bills, they need defense.
No, Buffalo Bills need a linebacker. Like, they do.